For more than 40 years, the CF-18 Hornet served as the backbone of the Royal Canadian Air Force, patrolling the vast, often unforgiving northern territories and supporting NATO missions around the globe. These jets became a symbol of Canadian sovereignty, flying thousands of hours in harsh conditions and standing ready to respond to any threat, whether at home or abroad. Their presence was a reassurance to Canadians and allies alike, demonstrating the country's commitment to defense and international cooperation. But by the early 21st century, the CF-18s were showing their age. The jets had become increasingly costly to maintain, with parts growing scarce and repairs more frequent. Technologically, they were falling behind the advanced aircraft, fielded by both allies and potential adversaries, making it harder for Canada to keep pace in a rapidly evolving security environment. Canada's immense landmass, stretching from the Pacific to the Atlantic and deep into the Arctic, presents unique defense challenges. The strategic importance of the Arctic region is only growing, with new shipping routes opening and global interest intensifying. To defend its airspace, protect its sovereignty, and fulfill alliance commitments, Canada needs a modern, capable fighter fleet that can operate in extreme conditions and respond to emerging threats. The process to replace the CF-18s quickly became one of the nation's most significant and controversial military procurements. Political indecision, shifting priorities, and public debate over cost, capability, and industrial benefits led to years of delays and uncertainty. The question of which jet to choose became a lightning rod for criticism and a test of government resolve. As the years dragged on, delays forced Canada to buy second-hand jets from Australia just to keep its Air Force operational. This stopgap measure widened the gap between Canada's capabilities and those of its closest allies and potential adversaries, raising concerns about the country's ability to defend itself and contribute meaningfully to international missions. At the heart of the issue is a simple but critical need. Canada requires 88 advanced fighter jets to secure its future. The decision will shape not only the military but also the nation's aerospace industry, its alliances, and its global standing for decades to come. The stakes could not be higher. Ultimately, the real question was never if Canada needed new jets, but which aircraft could truly meet its complex and evolving needs, balancing performance, cost, industrial benefits, and the ability to protect Canadian skies well into the future. In the final competition, two jets stood out: the American F-35 Lightning II and the Swedish Saab Gripen E. The F-35, a fifth-generation stealth fighter, offers cutting-edge sensors, data fusion, and deep integration with US and NATO allies. The Gripen E, a 4.5-generation jet, is praised for its lower cost, ease of maintenance, and a promise of significant technology transfer and Canadian jobs. The F-35's stealth and networked warfare capabilities represent a leap in survivability and alliance interoperability. The Gripen's strengths are affordability, operational flexibility, and the potential to boost Canada's aerospace sector. The choice was not just about machines, but about Canada's vision, maximum integration with US-led alliances, or greater economic and technological sovereignty. Each jet symbolized a different future for Canada's Air Force and industry. The fighter competition was rocked by leaks of classified documents, each telling a different story. One leak suggested the Gripen E outperformed the F-35 on cost and industrial benefits, fueling expectations it would win. A later leak claimed the F-35 dominated in technical merit, scoring far higher on military capability. These contradictory reports deepened public distrust and left Canadians questioning the integrity of the process. The truth behind the government's decision became harder to discern, clouding the entire procurement. The decision over which jet to purchase was as much about economic strategy as it was about national defense. Behind the scenes, policymakers weighed not just the capabilities of the aircraft, but the far-reaching financial consequences for Canada's future. The F-35's initial price tag was $19 billion, but costs quickly ballooned to nearly $28 billion, with billions more needed for infrastructure, maintenance, and long-term support. These escalating figures sparked heated debates in Parliament and among the public, raising concerns about affordability and fiscal responsibility. In contrast, the Gripen E promised a lower purchase price and significantly cheaper operations over its lifetime. This appealed to those wary of draining the defense budget, especially as Canada faced other pressing needs in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Critics warned that the F-35's soaring costs could crowd out other military priorities for decades, potentially limiting investments in personnel, training, and equipment modernization. Industrial benefits became a fiercely debated topic. The F-35 program offered Canadian firms a role in a vast global supply chain, promising lucrative contracts and international exposure. Meanwhile, Saab countered with a pledge of full technology transfer and the creation of new, high-skilled aerospace jobs within Canada's borders. Saab's job creation claims were ambitious, envisioning a future where Canada could develop and maintain its own advanced fighter technology. For many, the lure of sovereign capability and homegrown expertise was a powerful argument. The economic stakes were enormous. The final choice would not only determine the fate of Canada's Air Force, but also shape the country's aerospace industry, workforce, and technological landscape for a generation or more. For many decision-makers, the economic case was every bit as decisive as the military one, making this procurement a true battleground of dollars, jobs, and national ambition. Fighter jets are more than weapons, they're keys to alliances. Interoperability with NORAD and NATO was central, and the F-35's widespread adoption by allies made it the default choice for seamless joint operations. The F-35's advanced data sharing and networked warfare capabilities promise Canada a seat at the top table with the US and other partners. Critics argued that flying Gripens wouldn't exclude Canada from alliances, pointing to other NATO members using the jet. They claim true interoperability depends on shared protocols, not just hardware. Some saw the F-35 as deepening US dependence, while the Gripen offered a path to greater strategic autonomy. The debate was about more than jets. It was about Canada's role in the world and its alliances. The choice would define how Canada contributes to collective security for decades. In January 2023, Canada announced it would buy 88 F-35s, citing capability, cost, and alliance commitments. The decision sparked backlash, especially since the ruling party had once promised not to buy the F-35. Critics decried the soaring costs and loss of Saab's promised technology transfer, calling it a missed opportunity for Canadian industry. Rumors of US control over the F-35 systems fueled concerns about sovereignty, despite expert dismissals. The process left many Canadians feeling the decision was politically driven and the wrong choice for the country. Instead of clarity, the announcement deepened controversy and public skepticism. In March 2025, a new government reopened the F-35 deal, citing trade tensions with the US and renewed doubts about American reliability. Saab seized the moment, lobbying hard and reviving its pitch for the Gripen. Some officials floated a mixed fleet, F-35s for high-end missions, Gripens for patrols, but experts warned this would be costly and inefficient. The review stalled the procurement, putting the original delivery schedule in jeopardy and straining the aging CF-18 fleet. The uncertainty rippled through the military, industry, and Canada's alliances, leaving all sides frustrated. The future of Canada's Air Force was once again in limbo. A concluded deal had become an open question. As 2025 draws to a close, Canada's long-running fighter jet saga remains unresolved. The much-anticipated F-35 purchase is still under review, with government officials weighing the costs, benefits, and political implications of such a major investment. The decision has become a focal point for national debate, with experts, politicians, and citizens all voicing strong opinions about the best path forward for Canada's air defense. Meanwhile, the Royal Canadian Air Force's future hangs in the balance. The aging fleet of CF-18s, which has served Canada for decades, is stretched thin and increasingly difficult to maintain. Pilots and ground crews work tirelessly to keep these jets operational, but the strain is showing, and the risk of falling behind technologically grows with each passing year. Further delays in procurement threaten Canada's ability to patrol its vast airspace, especially in the increasingly strategic Arctic region, and to fulfill its commitments to NORAD and NATO allies. The debate over which aircraft to choose has become a symbol of Canada's broader struggle to define its defense priorities in a rapidly changing world, where threats are evolving and alliances are being tested. The choice of fighter jet will also shape Canada's relationship with the United States and other key allies. Selecting the F-35 would reaffirm deep integration with American and NATO forces, ensuring interoperability and access to cutting-edge technology. On the other hand, opting for the Swedish Saab Gripen, a capable and modern alternative, could offer more flexibility and potentially lower costs, while supporting a different set of international partnerships. Some experts even suggest a mixed fleet, which would signal a pivot toward greater autonomy and adaptability. but could complicate logistics and training for the Air Force. The procurement process has already left a mark on Canada's aerospace industry, with domestic companies eager for opportunities to contribute to whichever platform is chosen. The decision will have lasting impacts on jobs, innovation, and the country's ability to support its own defense needs. At the same time, the drawn-out process has raised tough questions about how Canada makes critical national security decisions, and whether political gridlock is undermining the country's ability to respond to emerging threats. Until a final contract is signed and new jets are delivered, the future of Canada's air defense remains clouded in uncertainty. For now, the sky above Canada is filled with doubt, and the nation waits for clarity on how it will protect its airspace in the years to come.